If a structure touches the spirit, it's architecture. If it doesn't touch the spirit, it's a building. I'm quoting the late, great John Hejduk. Those words and the way he defined architecture is anchored in me now. My name is Dominic Galicia. I'm the principal architect of Dominic Galicia Architects, and we are sitting inside the new Church of Our Lady of Mount Carmel in Evo City, the Ayala development in Kawit, Cavite. The project came to our office in 2017. Ayala Land approached us with this assignment to design a church here in this new development called Evo City. We want to create a space that expressed the relationship between prayer and the fulfillment of prayer. Why? Because Mary is the greatest exponent of prayer. And we want to create an architectural environment that expresses that. The very first ideas with this church really pertain to how light enters it. How light enters any space, but in particular, worship space is essential to the role that space, the architecture, can play in inducing in us a mindset or a state of being in which we want to pray, where we want to think, where we want to worship. And so, orienting this church, this structure, directly east-west, the east facade, the retablo facade, directly faces east, and the west facade, the entrance facade, directly faces west. We wanted the sun to rise and let the rays of the morning sun enter a stained glass window that one way or another was an expression of the glory of God. The stained glass window above the altar, which we call the Gloria Patri window, the glory of the Father, is ablaze with this fire-like color of stained glass. So that Gloria Patri window becomes the fulfillment of the prayer that's expressed in this eastern facade with these rosary beads. Each bead is a block of prismatic glass. And the idea there was to avail of how the afternoon sun moves while keeping the heat of the afternoon sun away from the interior. Come in through these clear prismatic beads and travel. Imagine the sun as it starts to descend in the afternoon, and the way that light begins to pierce those beads. As the afternoon progresses, it starts to move. Whereas everything here has steps. The columns have steps, the entablature has steps. All these steps represented prayer. Around each column you have these steps, and each face is Hail Mary, Holy Mary, Hail Mary, Holy Mary. These are 10. Hail Mary, Holy Mary, Hail Mary, Holy Mary, Hail Mary, Holy Mary. There are 10 of these at each side. The base of the retablo has steps, which if you'll notice, there are more steps on the left because they depict the books of the Old Testament, and there are less steps on the right because they depict the books of the New Testament. But the altar table and the lectern do not have steps. They have smooth surfaces, because if you think of the steps here as representing time, then at the altar table and at the lectern, where the Word of God is read and where the Eucharist is raised in consecration, when you think about the Eucharist being considered the source and summit, the fons et culmen of this entire exercise of the liturgy and the architecture that envelops the liturgy, all that has as its source the Eucharist. And at the Eucharist, time stops. It's a tall ceiling, and our acoustic consultant, Jigs Hermano, prescribed that we have perforations in the ceiling, and behind those perforations would be batt insulation that would absorb sound, so that there'd be a certain quality of both audibility, at the same time stillness in this space. He prescribed perforations in the ceiling, and we wanted to use that as an opportunity to also further the notion of prayer. There is a Morse code of the Hail Mary and the Holy Mary. You can see in the lower parts, the lower part of the perforations are Morse code of Hail Mary, Holy Mary. Because I'm an architect, architecture has been a way for me to explore and to try to understand the spiritual things that often are wordless, ineffable. And architecture is a sublime instrument for trying to understand the ineffable, trying to articulate the ineffable. Architecture is not just for religious purposes, but I do believe that architecture is for spiritual purposes. The spirit can exist free of religion. Religion is a great instrument for humanity to tap into the spirit. But architecture, in its use of light, of space, other phenomena like the breezes, proportion, configuration of form, if they conspire to create something sublime and significant, then architecture can be an instrument to make this a better world.
For more insightful videos on design, subscribe to Design Will Save the World.
Here we're standing at the very center of the large circle that inscribes the site. And here we see this depiction of the Vesica Pescis, which is the plan of the church, and the section and elevation of the church. Of course, running down, this is the main axis, going to the main door, on center with the rosary.